Good day everyone, we are the group 4 and we are here to discuss our 3 topic all about roles and functions of United Nations, challenges of global governance in the 21st century, and lastly is the relevance of states amidst globalizations. Alright, so the first topic that we will tackle is the rules and functions of United Nations. So what is United Nations? So when we say United Nations, it is an international organization founded in 1945 after Second World War by 51 countries committed to maintaining international peace and security, developing friendly relations among nations, and promoting social progress, better living standards, and human rights. Okay, so ang kani daw kanang United Nations or ang kaning UN kay was created after World War II and back then 1945. So ang kaning 51 ka countries nag-work ni sila in promoting peace, security and cooperation. So ang UN or ang United Nations kay naa ni sila important role sa kanang in solving international problem by encouraging dialogue instead of war. Kay ginaprotektahan man nila ang mga rights and dignities of every person. So ginatabangan pud nila ang mga countries to develop socially and economically. There are also provide military aid sa mga people in crisis, pareha ng like mga affected sa mga natural disaster or sa war. So like example ana if na ay natural disaster like kanang earthquake or kanang typhoon, kay ang United Nations or ang UN kay mag-send na sila og help through its agencies pareha ng World Food Program or kanang WFP to provide foods, water, medicines or shelter sa mga nanginahanglan. Okay? Gets? So next is history of United Nations. So the United Nations was created after World War II when the leaders of UK, China, US, and the Soviet Union planned for new international organizations. Like, so diba gibalik naman ni siya nga ang UN or ang United Nations kay na-create ni sila after World War II. And then, ang kaning mga leader in every countries is nagplan man ni sila for a new international or international organizations. So ang kaning ilang first meet kay ato man sila sa place nga sa Dunbarton Oaks in 1944 to make the first plan or draft of what the UN or United Nations would be. Then from April to June 1945, so katong 54 ka representative in every country ato man sila nagmeet sa San Francisco, USA para ma-discuss o ma-finalize nila ang details. So, sa June 26, 1945, na official na ang pag-sign sa mga UN Charter which become the founding documents of the United Nations. So, sa kaning slide, kay nag-show din ni siya sa beginning sa UN or United Nations ug giunsa ni siya pag-form through the cooperation sa world power ug sa laing nation to promote peace, unity, and international cooperation after the destruction caused by World War II. So before sad ang UN or ang United Nations naapay kanang another organization nga gitawag og League of Nations. Pero na-failed man ni sila to stop the World War II. So ang world leader nag-decide ni sila to form a stronger international group to make help to maintain peace and solve the global problem. Okay? Gets ra? So the United Nations has 4 main rules. First is to keep peace throughout the world, means by preventing the wars, pag-stop sa mga violence, and pag-help sa nations to settle sa ilahang disagreement peacefully. So kanisa siya kay nag-mean po ni siya to protect the right of people para ang tanan can live in safety and security. So example na if na ay 2 neighboring countries, ang kaning country A and country B. So like nag-start ni sila og argue about their borders. So sa kana nga situation nila kay nilala man siya. So ang kaning duha ka countries kay nag-prepare na sila for war. So to prevent this fighting, ang UN or ang United Nations can step in and send peacekeeper sa kana nga area. And ang UN or ang United Nations said kay mo help man na sila sa both country to talk and reach an agreement peacefully instead of going to war. Okay? So this example can show siya on how the UN works to keep peace throughout the world o sa pag-stop sa gubot and encouraging countries to solve their problems through understanding and cooperation. Kaysa naman magsinakitay sila, di ba? So next is to develop friendly relations among nations. So means nga ang countries should build good relationship with each other through respect, cooperation, and understanding. So it encourage nations to work together sa pag-solve sa global problems parihan ng poverty, climate change o kanang mga gubot baron. So by forming friendship and partnership, ang countries can share knowledge, trade fairly, or help one another in times of need and live peacefully without hatred or discrimination. So sa kaninga goal makatabang sa world more united and stable. So example ana if after sa kusog na typhoon or linog baron ana nga naigo sa kana nga country, ang uban nation magpadala na sila og food, medicines or mga financial aids through the United Nations to help the victims. So sa kani nga act of helping build friendship between countries o pag-support on each other during sa kalisod, so which is exactly what it means to develop friendly relation among nation, okay? So the third is to help nations work together to improve their lives for poor peoples, to conquer hunger, disease, and illiteracy, and to encourage respect for each other's rights and freedom. So it means nga ang countries can join forces to reduce poverty and can make life better and for those who do not have enough food, money, education, or healthcare. So it encourage rich and developing nations nga sa mga pobre by providing financial aid, pag-create og mga job opportunities, pag-build og schools and hospitals, and sharing knowledge and technology to fight but not war, but helping others. They also promote fairness, equality, and hope for a better for everyone. Okay? So the fourth is to be the century of harmonizing the actions of nations to achieve this goal. So means that the United Nations serves as a meeting place ug asa ang tanan countries can come together to discuss problems and maghimo na sila og plano baron or magtinabangay na sila to solve global issues pariha ng war, poverty, disease, and also climate change. So, ang UN or ang United Nations can coordinate their efforts so that instead of acting alone, they cooperates and move in the same direction toward peace, development, and human rights. So it means unites the countries to work together for a better and safer world. Okay? So next is structure and organization of the United Nations. So the charter established six principles organs of the United Nations. So ang kanidang UN or United Nations can organize into different parts which work together to achieve peace, cooperation, and development in the world. So according daw sa UN Charter, there are six main organs. So the sixth structure of an organization of the United Nations, the General Assembly, Security Council, Economic and Social Council, International Court of Justice, Trusteeship Council, and Secretariat. So first is General Assembly. The General Assembly is the main deliberative body of the UN where all member states are represented equally, each with one vote. It discusses with international issues that fall under the scope of the UN Charter. So, ang General Assembly daw kay mao ni siya ang main discussion making body sa United Nations. It is made up of all 193 members countries and each countries big or small kay na sila one equal vote. So ang General Assembly kay magmeet ni sila every year sa UN headquarters sa sa New York rather, para i-discuss ang mga important global issues such as kanang peace, security, human rights, climate change o development. So nag-serve na siya as a place where countries to share ideas, mag-make og mga agreements og mga mag-solve na sila sa mga problems together through discussion and cooperation. Although ang General Assembly di siya maka-force sa countries to act. So it discussion and resolution guides the work of an UN or United Nations, and mag-encourage na sila sa mga countries to work together and peacefully. So, okay, so example na kay katong like during pag kanang global pandemic, ang General Assembly kay nag-hold na sila og special meeting ug asa ang mga leaders sa tanan countries nag-discuss sila og unsaon pag-fight ang kana nga disease. So naka-decide sila to share vaccine, medical equipment. So sa kana nga situation kay nag-show siya og unsa ang General Assembly helps countries cooperate and make decision that benefits the whole world. Okay?
So, I am Angel Fisi Boria. I'm going to discuss what is Security Council. So, ang Security Council, mao ni siya ang tigbantay sa kalinaw sa kalibutan. So, na siya 15 ka members, ang 5 is permanent, which is China, France, Russia, UK, and USA. Then, naay 10 nila nga moili sa matag duha ka tuig. So, naapod sila ginatawag na veto power. So, ang veto power kay mo ni siya ang gahom sa 5 ka members, which is katong China, Russia, USA, UK, and France. For example, ang Security Council mo ni siya ang magdesisyon nga ipadala ang sundalo sa usa ka nasod aron mahunong ang gubat. Pero giveto sa China, which so mao na siya nga dili na madayon kay giveto sa China. Kung naay 5 atong ka-member nga dili mo sugot nga magpadala og sundalo sa katong nga nasod, so dili jud madayon nga padalan og sundalo. For example, kung adunay gubat sa duha ka nasod, so ang Security Council mao yang magdesisyon unsaon paghunong sa gubat. Next is Economic and Social Council. So ang Economic and Social Council mao ang nagahisgot or nagplano sa problema sa kalibutan, like ang ekonomiya, education ug social nga panginahanglanon sa kalibutan. So ang tanan members pwede mo boto o muhatag silang opinion. Example, kung naay problema sa kagutom atong nasod, din sila mo ilan ang istoryaan kung saan nila pagtambag ug pagtabang sa kana nga problema. Next is International Court of Justice. So International Court of Justice mo ni siya ang court sa UN nga nasa Netherlands. Ang trabaho ani mao pud ang pagsulbad kung unsay gilalisan or kaso sa usa ka nasod, sumala balaod ni siya sa international. Example, kung ang duha ka nasod nag-away, then if kinsa ang president ana nga usa ka nasod, sila ang moadto sa ICC, which is mo na siya ang International Court of Justice aron masulbad ang kaso. Next is Trusteeship Council. Ang Trusteeship Council mo siya gitukod ni siya para tabangan lugar dili kanang like dili pa independent kan lugar nga mahimong self-government. Og nahuman ni siyang gitukod or trabaho pag 1994 sa independence sa Palau. Example, ang Palau giguide sa UN hangtod mahimong independent nga nasod. Next is Secretariat. So ang Secretariat mo ni siya ang opisina or office sa UN nga nagdumala sa adlaw-adlaw like nagtrabaho or gilid sa Secretary General. For example, kung ang UN kay nanginhanglan og report kanang para nanginahanglan og report bahin sa climate change. So ang secretariat mo'y mag-andam para mahatag kung unsa gi kinahanglan sa UN. Next, challenges of global governance in the 21st century. So ang global governance nagatubang og daghang kalisdanan sa like sa gubat, mga turismo, kagutom or like or climate change. For example, ang global warming usa ka dako nga problema nga kinahanglan tambagan or tabangan sa tanan nga nasod. So next is governance. Mao ni ang paagi paghimo og like rules sa usa ka lugar or sa grupo sa usa ka lugar. Example, so mura ni siya og kuan like example sa inyong eskwelahan, ang teacher maghimo og rules para masunod ang tanan estudyante. Next is evolution of global governance or pag-uswag sa global governance. So before World War I, ang nasod nato kay like walay pa kayo nagtinabangay, nagsige pa og away. For example, ang USA ug ang Japan nag-focus ra sila sa ilang kaugalingong gobyerno or sa ilang kaugalingong country. So pag World War II, dira na nagsugod nga nagtukod na sila og grupo like sa UN aron magtinabangay ang mga nasod. So natukod ni siya ang UN or United Nations paghuman na sa gubat. Next is globalization. So karon mas konektado na ang kalibutan. Mao na ang kinahanglan gyud ang pagtinabangay sa tanan nasod. Example, ang trade og internet nagpasabot sa halos tanan nasod, nagkonektado na. So ang pinaka-simple nga hinumduman jud is pag-una or World War I naginusara ra, wala nagtinabangay din. Pagsunod, pag World War II naghiusa na sila, which is gitukuran na nila og UN. So karon nagtinabangay tanan, so which is mo na siya ang globalization.
So first, many of the problems we face today are global. For example, climate change, pandemics like COVID-19 or even terrorism. Dili lang ni siya maka-affect sa isa ka country but sa lain-laing country. No single nation can fix alone. That's why countries need to cooperate to share ideas, vaccines or even resources to solve them together. Like katong naka-experience ang Pilipinas sa dakong typhoon or strong typhoon, ang other countries ato kay nag-send og help og donation, mao ni siya ang tawag sa global cooperation. Second, this is where global governance comes in. It means countries and organizations around the world work together to set common rules, share knowledge, and help each other in time of crisis. For example, the United Nations help nations maintain peace, and the World Health Organization or WHO guides all countries when there's a disease outbreak. So basically, ang global governance di ay kahit more siyang teamwork but on global level. Lastly, global governance also has challenges. Sometimes not everyone benefits equally. Ang dato nga country kay naa sila'y more power. Ang smaller one kay maka-feel sila nga di sila belong. Some people think these global organizations are unfair. Parihara gud na sa like magbuhat ta og group project na ay ubang tao nga naa sila'y desisyon or naa sila'y idea nya ang uban sa dili ra magtingog-tingog. So, fairness and balance are super important jud na. Good day everyone, my name is Ria May Kanya and today I'm going to share about the major challenges our world is facing today. These are serious nga naapektuhan na ang lain-laing countries and it's important nga masabtan nato ni. Una, kay fragmentation of the international community. The world is becoming more divided, making cooperative global action harder. This mean nga ang kalibutan karon nagabulag-bulag. Instead of working together, ang uban countries kay ga-focus ra sa ilang kagalingon or nag-away-away tungod sa different interests. Like for example, when countries can't agree kung unsaon pag-solve sa climate change or sa mga war situation. So tungod ana lisod kayo mo cooperate as one world. Kaduha, climate change, a major global threat that requires effort across border. Ang climate change kay mao ang pinakadako nga problem nga atong giatubang karon tungod sa pollution sa car, factories o pagsunog og sa fuels. For example, katong na-experience nato nga pinakakusog nga typhoon which is ang Yolanda. Tungod sa climate change, tungod atong bagyuhan ni taas maayo ang sea level. Ang ikatulong nga global issue nga atong gitubang karon kay ang poverty. Persistent poverty remains a central challenge globally. It means ang poverty ay kay daghang tao wala igong kwarta para sa basic needs pagkaon, like sa pagkaon, balay ug sa education. Even though the world has developed a lot, millions of people still live in extreme poverty. Example, sa country nga sa Africa ug Asia, daghang pamilya nagstruggle sa pang-education or sa basic needs. Even sa Pilipinas, daghang bata nga di makaadto sa di makaskula tungod anang poverty or walay ikagasto. Number 4, violent conflict. Wars, civil wars, and other violent disputes threaten peace and stability. This one means wars and fighting between groups or countries, super destructive jud ni siya kay it makes people lose their homes and even their lives. For example, katong war between Russia and Ukraine, grabe kadaghang gipang evacuate. Sa Syria pod, daghang families na pugos mobiya sa ilang balay. Number 5, kay intolerance and extremism. Growing intolerance, cultural or religious extremism or radicalization that under social cohesion. This happen when people cannot accept other beliefs, religious or cultures, or when some groups use violence because of their extreme ideas. It destroys unity and causes hate among people. Example, kung ang usa ka group mo attack tungod lang sa religion or race, that's intolerance and extremism. Number 6, mass displacement of people. Conflicts, disasters, or etc. causing large numbers of people to flee or migrate under difficult conditions. This means large numbers of people are forced to leave their homes because of war, disasters, or poverty. They often move to other countries and become refugees. Example, the war of Syria, millions of Syrians had to flee their country to survive. Some people in the Philippines, daghang pamilya mo evacuate sa evacuation center after sa bagyo or uban pang kalamidad nga angay jud mo evacuate. Lastly, sa major problems sa global issues, attacks on cultural nights and cultural heritage. Examples include destructions of heritage in places like Syria, Iraq, and Mali, which threatens intercultural tolerance. This refers to the destruction of historical or cultural sites that are important to people identity and history. When these places are destroyed, it's like losing a part of a nation's soul. Example, countries like Syria, Iraq, and Mali terrorists have destroyed ancient templates and statues. This act erase history and harm our understanding of different cultures. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. I am Jomer Esbotay, and we were gonna talk about governance system issues. So there are 3 types of global governance system issues. First is depolitization, capitalization, and rescaling. So first is depolitization. Depolitization means kanang ang pagkuha sa impluwensya in politics from decision making. Sometimes usahay kay good siya because it avoids bias, but it can also reduce people's participation in government decisions. Example, kanang economic policies decided only by experts or international institutions instead of the public. So, second, capitalization. Capitalization means the growing power of business and private corporations. So, mga dakong kumpanya nga naay power sa desisyon sa global governance, and it can lead to inequality when profit becomes more important than people's welfare, just like sa katong the corporation ng movie or film na ipakita ni Miss. And then sa third one is rescaling. Mo ni ang kanang shifting decision making from national level to global level or local levels. This can make governance complicated since responsibilities are i-divide na. So example is kanang global problems like climate change nga nag-need og global cooperation, not just sa kanang country itself. The next one is we're gonna talk about the topic relevance of the state amidst globalization. So before we go to the main point of the topic, we are about to break down the elements na nabilong na nga topic. So first one is globalization. So we all know that globalization kanang where it's a process where countries became more interconnected through technology, culture, communication, and etc. So ang globalization mo nang kanang grabe na kayong pagka-connected sa mga kanang countries. So example na kay kanang doon sa nato pag palit ang or pagtan-aw sa mga movies sa Japan or sa Amerika diri sa Pilipinas sa. So yeah, muna, and the next one is nation. So ang nation ay muna siyang ang group of people who shares same culture, language, history, and identity. So usa ra sila kay para sila kaugalingon sa tao o nga pagkatao or identity. So, yeah, shared ilang traits. So, example is kanang mga Pilipino who share same history, language, and love for the country. So, the next one is state. Ang state is kanang muna siya ang political organization with the power to govern a specific area or territory. So, ang state kay organization na siya sa gobyerno nga adunay power sa usa ka lugar or territory. Siya ang muna ang nagtuman sa mga law o naghatag og authority sa mga tawo nga nagpuyo dito. Example na ang kanang sa Philippines na muna siya state ang Philippines because na siya kaugaling ang government, people, land, and independence. So, ang state na siya core elements. So, first one is sovereignty. There are four elements. So, sovereignty, government, territory, and people. So, ang sovereignty, na siyang means the power of the state to rule itself without being controlled by others. So, ang sovereignty, no, independency siya sa usa ka nation or state. So, a state ra dahil wala nation. Lahat ng nation. So, an example na is Philippines is a sovereign country. It makes its own laws and decisions. So, second is government. The government is the system or group of people who lead and makes the laws of the country. So, sila ang group of people or system na naghimo o mga law or nagatiman sa mga katawhan or public. So, example na ng mga president, congress, senator, supreme court, and other parts. So next one is territory. Ang territory refers to the land, water, and airspace that belongs to a state. So muna siyang mga yuta, dagat, or mga kanginan, air, sky, nasakop sa usa ka nasod o state nga mo ang lugar nga adunay power ang gobyerno. So muna ang territory ng sa Philippines kay Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao. So every part of that area atuan na. So nasa siya yung specific part. So di na pa i-discuss. Ano lang mo. So ang last one is people. So ang people muna siya ang citizens who live beyond a state and are governed by its laws. So mga tao nga na puyo sa usa ka nasod or nation o mo'y mosunod sa mga balaod or law nga gihimo sa government ana nga state. So ang example na kita ng Filipinos in a Philippine state. So next one is dili na siya element sa state, lahi na nga element. So ano siya ang nation or nation state. Nation dash state. So ang nation state is a country where people nation share with the same identity and are governed by one government. So mo ni siya ang nasod kung nga diin ang mga tao para sa silang culture or identity sa muna siya ang nation. Og usara ang gobyerno nga nagdumala nila. Muna ang state. Muna siya gi-combine. Combination of the two. So, ang nation state, muna siyang ang nation. Muna siyang usa ka country nga nag-share ang mga people of culture or same identity. Yang state, muna siyang ang organization sa gobyerno nga usara nga governed by one government siya. One whole government. So, ang nation state, muna siya ang doon. Hindi combine. So, ang example na is Japan. So, Japan is a nation state because mostly sa mga tao dito share the same culture and government. Yun lang.
Good day, everyone. So this is the first part that we're going to discuss, relevance of globalization. Globalization is generally recognized as the fading or complete disappearance of economic, social, and cultural borders between states, some between states. So in that statement, it's just simple means na globalization making the countries more connected and dependent on each other. And also because of globalization kay hinahinay nang nawala ang differences or boundaries or borders from each country. Like when you say about economic kay it has some products that made in one country but it can sold worldwide. And social, people can work and study abroad. And in culture kay kanang we can listen music and watch movies from different countries. So, of course, tungod sa globalization kay, di na gani kayo na to ma-identify ang differences from each country kay. Like, when we talk about sa clothing style kay, kanang, ang uban magsuhid-suhid naman og kanang kasuotan sa lain nga lugar. So, dili na kayo ma-identify nga, kana siya, asa na siya gikan nga country. And some scholars have theorized that states which are inherently divided by physical and economic boundaries will be less relevant in a globalized world. So, some people believe daw na kung magpadayon ang globalization kay kanaganing mura na kanang like each country can't decide on their own. Like if kanang pareha tong na pandemic. So, each country kay because of globalization, if mag-decide sila on their own, maapektuhan man ang lain nga country kay konektado na ba sila sa usag-usa. So, kung if they are going to plan to solve the global issue, so they must cooperate from the other country kay kung mara sila masayop nga decision, it can affect sa lain jud nga country. And also that some people kay they believe pod nga because nga kung magpadayon jud ang globalization kay in the future daw ang atong world kay it can work as a large one nga mura naganig ka na ganing mawala na jud kuno matotally wala na jud ang mga boundaries or any borders or any differences kay it's because of globalization. So how does globalization affect the state? Is the state relevant to the world today? So when we talk about state, so state means it is a country or nation that has its own government, law, territory, and population. And it is also the main political organization that has an authority to rule over a specific area. So globalization affects the state by reducing its control over its society and economy because of global trade, technology, and international organization. So when we say about global trade, so means countries depend on one another for goods and services. Like for example na isa ka country nga siya mo main source ana nga product. So dili siya basta-basta maka-train sa price kay it can cost to the other country. So when we talk about technology, so all of us aware og kabalo na jud what does technology means. So technology can connect people worldwide. And then international organizations like UN and WTO, so they create global rules that state must follow. And is the state relevant to the world today? Yes. Even globalized na jud ang world, kay state is still important because they create and enforce law. So effects of globalization on nation state. So in the previous slide, we've talked now about effects of globalization on the state, and now we will talk effects of globalization on nation state. So state and nation state, it sounds similar but they have different meaning. So again, state means about government or political, but nation state is it refers to two words like nation means people with shared culture, and state means politic and or government. So globalization can affect a nation state by spreading new ideas, new languages, new lifestyle, and new clothing style, and that can cause weaken national unity. So nganong weaken national unity man? So of course in terms of kanang clothing style, kay kanang sa una kay wala pa ang globalization, pareho ra kasuotan to ng Filipino. Pero karon kay na may ubang mga tawo nga kanang magkuan sa aesthetic daw, so magsuhid sila kanang Korea nga mga kasuotan sa mga taga Korea, and uban pod kay ilaha pong gisuhid na ang kanang hairstyle sa Korea. So nay uban nga mga laki nga kanang ang ilahang hairstyle kay pareho na nila at mga jungkok. So lahi-lahi na og kanang kuan gani lahi na og kanang lahi na clothing style ang Filipino. So natabunan na ang kanang national unity, like dili na pareha sa una nga pareho tanan og barog ang pareho og kanang clothing style ang taga Philippines. And next is geopolitical shifts. So when we say geopolitical, it comes from two words. Geo means geography or earth, and political means power, government, and leadership. So bipolar, unipolar, multipolar are the three different stages nga nahitabo sa geopolitical shifts. So first, we will discuss about bipolar. So kana siya, nasayo po na siya type nga bipolar na siya, kay bipolar is the first kuan nga nahitabo. So bipolar refers to a Cold War period. So kana siya nahitabo na siya pag 1991 to 1945. So nahitabo ang Cold War period or bipolar after sa World War II. So from the word bi, it means two. So sa time sa bipolar kay the global power kay gibahin og it divided into two. So USA or United States and USSR or Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. And then on this time kay ang USA they form army group called NATO or NATO or North Atlantic Treaty Organization in 1949. So, ang purpose sa NATO or North Atlantic Treaty Organization kay ang purpose ana ang ilahan nga gibuo nga grupo kay to protect their country sa posible kuno nga pag-attack sa USSR. And of course, ang USSR kay they also formed a group called Warsaw Pact. So, ang Warsaw Pact kay na formed na siya pag 1955. So, of course, gibuo na sa USSR para naay kontra ang NATO nga gihimo sa USA. And then, unipolar nag-end na siya pag 1991. Kanang USSR kay na siya kanang members nga different countries. So, daghan to nga country but ang readable ra jud kay nako kay Ukraine and Russia. So, pag 1991 kay the different countries nga belong sa USSR kay they are decided to work independently. So, sa time nga 1991 nabungkag ang USSR, mao nga na-end ang bipolar. It's because wala na kontra ang United States kay nabungkag na ang USSR. So diha na dayon na ang kanang new situation kay mao na dayon nagitawag og unipolar kay ang USA naman mo kanang nahimong mo na nahimong pinaka-powerful on that time. So mo na siya gitawag og unipolar. So from the word uni, so usa na lang mo na siya nga USA became the dominant power. So ang unipolar nag-start na siya from 1991, then nag-end na siya sa pag early 2000. So nahitabo ang unipolar after the Cold War and nag-end ni siya kay it's because na ng globalization. So of course, the different countries kay dili jud sila mosugot nga ang USA mao pinaka-powerful in the whole world. So like China, Russia, India, and the other countries kay kanang they work together to rise their power, rise their military group and their economy para lang ma-end ang unipolar. And then sa time nga na ng globalization, USA face a lot of challenges. So pag naabot ang globalization, mo na siya gitawag og the last stage nga multipolar. So ang multipolar nag-start siya 1991 early 2000. So early 2000 ang multipolar nag-start siya early 2000 until the present. So from the word multipolar, so it means na the power shared by several countries. So walay bisag isa country nga nag-control sa everything. Like different countries work together to solve the global issues. So rise of international organizations. So rise of international organizations, it shows how the different countries work together to solve the global issues. And then groups like United Nations, World Trade Organizations or WTO, and the other organizations they are helping to set rules for peace, human rights, and development. And also, they are helping para pod mapadali sa different countries ang pag-solve sa mga global issues or global problems. And non-state actors. So when we say non-state actors, it means na dili na sila belong sa government, but they are still powerful. So if like for example, multinational corporations, so dili na sila belong sa government, but they create jobs and they spread technology worldwide. And non-governmental organizations or NGO kay they raise awareness and push solutions for the global problems. And why the state still matters? So of course, state really matters kay only state can make and enforce law and protect their citizens or their population. So and next is national identity. So when we talk about national identity, so only states can preserve citizenship, history, and culture. Like state can preserve all of that by teaching history and helping to protect the heritage culture. And when we talk about public goods, because states can provide healthcare, education, structure, security, and infrastructure like roads. So global representation, states represent their people in global talks. So Like states are the one who talk or who speak up the kanaganing mga ganahang isulti sa kanang citizens sa isa country in unig na ay international nga meetings. And then also states sign treaties. When we say sign treaties, kay kanaganing na isa country na they set rules or promises or agreements. So the states, ang states mo ay mo sign in behalf of sa isa country. And they join international organizations like UN. So, has globalization altered the role of the state? So, when we say altered, kay kana ganing murag gibag-o daw. So, the question is, gibag-o ba daw sa globalization ang role sa state? So, naay two types of people, hyper-globalist and globaluni. So, when we say hyper-globalist, kay sila mga tao na they believe nga ang globalization daw kay kanang tungod sa globalization kay murag na less relevant gani, like dili na daw kay importante ang state, like nakuhaan jud daw ang role sa state. But the global only believe na globalization kay wala jud effect sa state, like wala mapektuhan ang state sa globalization. But the truth is globalization changed the role of state, but that's not mean nga ang state kay na less relevant, kay globalization making the state na kuan raman kanang like globalization making the state more focused on cooperating globally, like globalization making the state to more focused sa pag-create and enforce law, protect people and representing the country. So on that reason nga ang state kay mas na more relevant gani siya than before. Are states still relevant? So yes. So, as what I said before na, states still relevant even though nga even though globalized ng world or even though na ng globalization, states still relevant kay, of course, only states can create and enforce law, protect people, and represent the country. So, opposite ang globalization. This is called imperialism. So, when we say imperialism kay kanaganing, like sa una daw kay, ang imperialism kanaganing pugson jud ang state nga kanang like dili para sa globalization na pasagdaan nga ilaharang na ay voluntarily sa state ang kanang buhaton kung sa ilang gusto. Ang imperialism kay kanaganing gipugos gani nila kanang kinahanglan nga sila mo'y masunod, like kung sa ilang gusto kay mo jud ikwan sa state. So thank you for listening.